Hey everyone, in this video we will answer the following question. Do you need to gut renovate or renovate your townhouse before selling here in New York City? Is it a good idea? Does it have a good or high ROI? We'll demystify this topic right now. I'm Nick Housett, based here in Miami, Florida. Give us a shout if you're looking to buy, sell, or rent in New York City, Long Island, Westchester, the Hudson Valley, or here in South Florida. We can save you money when buying, selling, or renting. So check out our website, housett.com, to learn more, or send us an email to team@housett.com. So let's get started. So going back to the topic here, should you gut renovate or renovate your townhouse in any way before listing it for sale here in New York City? We receive calls all the time from townhouse owners here in the city who ask us this very question. And it is a very good question because the reality is a lot of these townhouses have not been renovated in decades. A very common client for us who gives us a call is somebody who may potentially have acquired a property through the passing of a parent, and the property just hasn't been touched in decades upon decades. They're quasi-decrepit in some cases. So they ask, is it a good idea to renovate my place, gut renovate it? Will I get a lot more money if I go ahead and do that? So the answer to the question is that it's rarely, if ever, a good idea to gut renovate a townhouse for the sole purpose of selling it later on. One of the main reasons why is that buyers ultimately really prefer to make their own mark on a home. So if you spend $50K on a bathroom and you choose the wrong tile, a buyer would much have preferred to have paid $50K less for the property to have the opportunity to choose their own finishings for their new home. So in other words, you rarely will actually get paid back dollar for dollar if you undergo any form of total gut renovation on a townhouse before selling. So aside from the cost, the problem with gut renovating before selling is the timing and uncertainty factor. So when you renovate in New York City, you have to deal with the Department of Buildings, you have to deal with engineers, architects, and you also have to deal with the supply chain. Any one of those factors can potentially delay your renovation by additional weeks and months at a time. So the actual scope of the project can just blow out from a timing perspective to the point where you're losing valuable potential time on the market. And as we've learned with COVID, the market can change, it ebbs and flows. So, if the market is in a good spot and you're about to list it, but then you decide to gut renovate, 6 months later, by the time you're ready to list it, well, interest rates might have gone up 4 or 5 times and the real estate market might be way down, in which case you would have lost money, you would not have recouped the cost of your renovation, plus you would have further lost money because of the fact that the actual market values have declined. Now, another question we receive from potential home sellers of townhouses in New York City is, okay, you've told me that I don't need to gut renovate it, but should I do anything to my townhouse before listing it? Well, this is a really interesting question because there actually are a number of things you can do, cost-effective things you can do to maximize the return on your investment and to achieve the highest sale price. The most important thing, honestly, is to ensure that the property exterior and the windows are thoroughly cleaned. Townhouses are not very wide in New York City. They're typically 20 feet wide, and in some cases, they're only, say, 15 or 16 feet wide. And so just imagine you don't have a lot of windows. Lighting is a major issue with townhouses, particularly on the ground floor. So if the windows are dirty, they have dust and dirt caked on from years of neglect, maybe there's pigeon poop. Pigeons love to hang out right below the windows and above the windows. So if you don't clean those windows, your property is going to look really dark and it's going to be really uninviting for prospective buyers. So we recommend making sure that you clean the windows. You should hire a crew. They'll come with scaffolding and they'll power wash the entire front of your townhouse. It's not going to cost $50. It's not going to cost thousands upon thousands. It will cost some money, but it's going to yield a very high ROI when it comes to offers and your potential sale price. The other recommendation for enhancing your townhouse prior to listing is to make sure that you ideally clean the walls. Oftentimes these walls are literally dusty, they have cobwebs. So a basic cleaning and scrubbing of the walls is a starting point, and thereafter you may very well want to repaint. If not, select rooms, select walls. You could potentially just repaint the whole property on the inside. But you really want to try to limit the scope, because if you start going down the road of perfection, plastering the walls, things like that, the cost is just going to blow out to a really uninviting number, and it's also going to delay your ability to list the property in a timely manner to capitalize on perhaps a strong market that you might be looking towards. So in conclusion, make sure you clean the property, clean the windows, clean the facade, clean the steps going up to the entrance, make sure you clean the walls, make sure there's no cobwebs. Ideally, you can repaint as well, like a fresh coat, maybe a designer white, something to really bring back the brightness of the home. And the third suggestion would be to make sure that you fix any sort of like obvious things that may draw attention of prospective buyers. For example, if there is a like a water stain on the ceiling, even if that actual leak is no longer active, you took care of it years ago, a buyer, particularly a first-time buyer, might be looking up at that mark on the ceiling, and all of a sudden they get these wild ideas about the fact that the townhouse may collapse. Now they want to do an inspection and be really focused on negotiating every last problem. So any obvious eyesores you definitely want to fix. That could be like a stain on the ceiling, that could be like a couple tiles that have just fallen off the wall. Any obvious like cracks in the plaster on your walls, please fix those, because first-time buyers often equate that to the house being like structurally unsound, which 99.9% of the time is not the case. And the final recommendation is to consider enhancing the bathrooms and the kitchen. If you see like cracked caulking, dirty caulking around the edges of the countertop, around the sink, that is such a low cost to clean that up, and it will really make the wet areas, the kitchens and the bathrooms pop. You could also potentially consider replacing the vanities in your bathrooms if they're extremely dated. Replacing the vanity to the untrained eye on a photo could potentially give the appearance that you've actually if not totally gut renovated the bathroom, significantly updated it, which can really help you as well in terms of like an appraisal and ultimately the level of interest that you see on your townhouse. So anyways, we hope you found this to be helpful. We'll come out with more videos about selling townhouses in New York City in the near future. If you are looking to sell, give us a shout. We can save you money on your transaction. So you can contact us via email at team@houseit.com or give us a call at 888-494-8258. We have two services for sellers. We have our 1% full service, will save you a great deal of money compared to a traditional agent. And we also have our assisted FSBO service, which is a lower cost product if you are open to potentially saving up to 6% on your sale in exchange for having some degree of involvement in the process. I'm Nick at Houseit, and we'll see you on the next video.